Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Friday again, and we're here as usual. Every Friday, we are going to be talking to our guest speaker. Thank you so much. Let me see who's in the room this morning. I see a lot of new faces. I see Rahim, I see Adib, Atika, I see welcome Bizam, Hana. Long time no see, I miss you so much.
Aku tak nampak aku apa awal-awal komen.
Siapa tu? Ada problem ke? Navala, thank you so much for joining. Good morning. Fadila, Fatihah. Okay, siapa lagi? Taufik and Surya. Welcome. Welcome to Ideascape, and this is our Ayana. This is our regular Friday morning series that we call BreakThrough. And actually how this came about was that we've been doing check-ins every morning, masa work from home. And because of that, we were getting a little bit stale, a little bit lethargic balik-balik dengar cakap suara room je kan. So I said, why don't we start calling our guest speakers, our friends, just to talk to them, get inspired, get motivated, get perspective, get their stories. So today, guys, we have Hanis Harun. Hanis, welcome to Ideascape, Hanis.
Hi, Rome. Hi, everyone.
Okay, Hanis, this is the rest of the people that I didn't mention just now. I think they are just my team, yeah. And I think we are also letting in more guests as we speak.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ideascape team. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much. Yes, welcome Radio Retreats team as well. I want to say thank you so much for saying yes to this. This is a mini version of the breakfast grill.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and we look forward to getting inspired by you and your stories. Okay, guys, if you must know, allow me to just quickly, I don't think I'll be doing justice without doing a proper introduction, but Hanis will do that more in detail later. But let me just tell you who Hanis is to me. She was an ex-colleague in my younger days. We were together in TNS. I think she came into TNS just a few months after I did. So we were all junior executives. And you know what? Within a year in TNS, I think a year or less, she was actually promoted. So I see Anis, bila tengok dia kan, she's the kind of person who has a good balance of IQ, EQ, and SQ. I always wonder, like, mak dia makan vitamin apa dulu masa pregnant dia. So, and when she got promoted, and there was one project, I was actually reporting to her. And you know what? She makes me feel so comfortable, even though we are friends. And she was my boss in that project. I saw the leadership quality in Hanis, and I know this girl. She rocks. Okay, and I wouldn't do justice if I didn't say that she was also a part-time consultant in Ideascape once upon a time. Good. And we did launch the 6 Malay segment together. We worked on that together. Without her, I wouldn't have the 6 Malay segment. And then Hanis, being the enthusiastic entrepreneur, she started Radiant Retreat in Jandi Baik, which is a corporate retreat venue, offering a whole suite of corporate programs. She will tell you later about it, yeah. And then she was doing all so good, so well. I was just watching her grow. And then the pandemic hits. The pandemic hits. And then when you have a business model, which is a lot to do with the venue, the physical space, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, tak payah nak cakap lah how it hits you as a business owner, as a leader. And this is where the story begins, right? So this is what we're going to be talking to Hanis today. tell us your story. And Ideascape team, I would really, really encourage you to listen in tune to every single word, sentence in what she says and what she means about what she says. You know, all that just so much nuggets of wisdom. I spoke to her yesterday. I'm like, tak cukup tau 1 jam. And she's very tight. We have to have a hard stop at 9:50 today. But I hope you guys are going to benefit from this morning. So the stage is yours, Hanis.
Thank you, Rome, for that all too kind introduction. I'm blushing under my foundation. And it's amazing to see you again, and it's amazing to see everybody. Okay, so as I understand it, we need to kind of gather some outcomes, some learnings from the tough 19 months that we've all been through. And I think it's great to be able to do that finally, you know. So it's been 19 months of stress and fear and lack of clarity. And finally, I'm saying to everybody, look, it's not light at the end of the tunnel anymore. We are actually out of the tunnel and into the light. So as far as we're concerned, the last hurdle now is just a few days' time, the opening of interstate borders, but actually all physical events are back. So it was quite stunning the last 1 week to see everything coming back. So, phew, that's a relief. So
Alhamdulillah, right?
Yeah.
Like so relief, such a relief.
Yeah, and just going around getting people to like get out of their pandemic mindset and reminding people that, look, it's not pandemic anymore, it's endemic now, behave accordingly, etc. And of course, there's a lot of pushback by people who are, you know, still bunkered down in their heads, but we'll get there.
Yeah, well, can't do anything about those people.
No, we need to advocate for them to like come out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I will start from our story from before the pandemic. And the reason is because the foundations has been so important. So the pandemic was a hurricane. And if you are in a shaky house in a hurricane, you'll be praying very hard, but it's too late for you, right? Mm. Yeah. So so when you go into a hurricane, you better make sure that you are in the strongest house with the strongest foundation possible. And so that's why it's important to start the story and any learnings from before the pandemic. Okay, so what happened before is we started the company in 2013, me and my sister, Hannah. Can you wave? That's my lovely little sister, Hannah. So we both gave up our corporate jobs, me in market intelligence and Hannah in IT. And we like jumped into this space called Janda Baik in Pahang, into from the cities, from the skyscrapers into the kampung. And we started in 2013. So started it from nothing, you know. We like to tell our, you know, strong macho facilitators that Hannah and I were the first facilitators of Radiant, you know, two aunties not knowing what they were doing and doing facilitation in the hills and waterfalls and around Janda Baik.
Yeah. You got them gorgeous.
Very, very humble beginnings. Then we really hit our stride in 2015. So 2015 to 2019. Right up to the start of the pandemic, was really our growth years. So it was 2015 that we first made a profit, that we first could pay ourselves, you know, regular salary instead of going, oh, this month no salary, you know. So 2015 was the first time we made a profit. And then we continued to grow. 2015 was when we had our first 3 employees. Are they here? Can you go on camera? Employee number 1 is Rakib. Where are you? And then employee number 2 is Najwa. Are you here, Najwa?
Yeah.
That's Rakib over there.
Hi.
Hi, Rakib.
Hi.
He was our intern in 2015 and became our employee number 1, shortly followed by Najwa. Are you, Najwa? Are you here?
Yes, hi. Hi, everyone.
So both of them manage our facilitator and operations team respectively. Very, very strong people for us. And then also Taufik, where are you? Taufik heads our training team, and also Fatiha. So these were the famous Fatiha wave. Tiha is our events and videography lady. Everything glamorous is Tiha. So So these four are like, our famous four, our fabulous four, and then followed by Rahim and Amin and many of the others that you see on the screen, until we finally got to employee number 20 at the start of the pandemic. Okay. Yeah. So during this time, our hero products were school camps. So we started from one school camp in 2014 to by the time all school camps were cancelled in March of 2020, we were over 40 school camp customers already, that most of them coming to us regularly for all their camps. So, and these were all international schools. So we have all the big names. We have, Alice Smith, British International School, Garden School, KTJ, Marlborough, all of those.
Yeah. And I remember you have always been so good with children.
Yes, I hope so. I have 3 of my own.
Yeah. I mean, my kids and your kids grew up together, right?
Yeah,
and then I remember my kids is going like, Auntie Hanis is planning this weekend. There's always something happening every weekend with Auntie Hanis.
Yeah, I started becoming less popular when those plans involve hiking to waterfalls and jungles. So, okay, so that was our hero product, and the other hero product was team building. So we, in those years, we did over 2,000 team building events, and they were all, and they started from Janda Baik to spreading all over Malaysia. So we have 11 destinations around Malaysia that we have ready-made packages for, and many of the customers, because the experiences in Janda Baik and they love our facilitators and our operations team, they say, okay, so where can we go next but with you guys? So that's how we spread across Malaysia. And so that was our other half of our business. Secondary to those 2 products were corporate training and hospitality. So hospitality is just renting out rooms. And so those 2 were smaller parts of our business. Okay, so is there enough foundation? I think what you'll see how the foundation is important, I guess, after I finish the pandemic side of the story. But really going into the pandemic, having worked really hard on the business, having had savings in the bank, and a strong team, a savvy team, has been the make or break for us during the pandemic.
So people,
hugely important, and I will come back to I'll come back to that at the end. Okay, so the pandemic hit. We started seeing the effects of it even from January of 2020 itself, but certainly by middle of March, everything was cancelled. So millions and millions of dollars of programs were cancelled. Every single school cancelled, and we have hardly seen them back at all. I think we saw 3 back, and 2 of those were virtual camps, right? So, so down to pretty much 0. All corporate team building was cancelled, everything. Okay, so the second half of March was pretty much like, whoa, shell shocked,
Let's so all these cancelled jobs, cancelled clients, in roughly, how much were they worth?
Including the ones which are, just dates in the calendar, but they are repeat business, so we know that they are good because they've been with us 3 years already, etc. I would say about 4 million.
Goodness gracious.
And we're not selling products, right? We're selling services. So that's a lot of programs. Stunning development.
I mean, I'm already in my heart. I was like, I dengar pun dah terduduk tau.
Yeah. So we terduduk for 2 weeks, and just started doing YouTube exercises and finding out what Netflix is, and starting to look at LinkedIn.
Because you've been outdoors, right?
What is LinkedIn?
You finally have to sit in front of the screen.
Yeah. So, and we were just hoping that, it's just a temporary thing, right? Which is the thing with everybody, I think. Then finally, at this early part of April, we decided, okay, guys, this is a long-term thing. Okay, this is going to last at least until September 2020. So
So who got the
Yeah.
wake up call? Was it you, Hannah? Was it anyone in the company?
No, I think-
was
I
like
think-
guys?
the general theme here is that we talk a lot. So, everybody's sharing their opinions, sharing snippets of information, etc. So I guess we we got the wake up call together and decided that, wow, this is going to go on until September 2020 when vaccines will come out. With hindsight, it's laughable, right?
Yeah.
But we thought, okay, so
Okay.
what are we going to have to do to survive until September 2020? So that's when we went into our innovation drive at the start of April, and we did pivots. So we decided, okay, this is what we think people need now, and so we developed it, and then we launched it in May and June. So just 30 to 60 days from start of ideation to actually products and services sold out to the market. Okay, so the pivots were Edible Gardens by Radiance. Okay, let me share screen
saw
here.
that. It's so cool. I love it.
Okay,
I
wait.
love it. I was like, so pretty. Tapi I was thinking, Hanis, berapa lama they can last? The edible gardens.
Well, that's up to you, isn't it? How do you look after the plants? So these are some examples of our edible gardens. Okay, so these are basically fully grown. We were noticing that people suddenly started to do gardening a lot at the start of the pandemic. There was feeling of food insecurity, and I can't get to the supermarket. Are there going to be fresh vegetables? All of those uncertainties at the beginning of the pandemic. So we hit on that and created the edible gardens, which are fully grown gardens, fully installed and delivered to your place. Okay, so our facilitator team were amazing in learning everything from scratch, including carpentry and planting, etc. So
Oh my God, you made them
from budak outdoor to jadi gardener, right? And jadi gardener and delivery boy. So they were amazing with it. Okay, so that's edible gardens, and then we also that behind that is our plant nursery, which is still going. And then we developed. Well, let's go to Jabat. Where is Jabat? Oh, I think we have it here. Yeah, so Jabat is gender baik tourism. So gender baik tourism is
I remember that place.
Gender baik tourism is basically our booking service for gender baik activities. So we have around 30 activities around gender baik. Kind of this gives you some idea of that, something like that. Okay, and so you can book. The website is genderbaik-attractions.
Can someone put it onto the chat box so we can take a look at it. The participants in this group can take a look at it later.
Yeah, genderbaik-attractions.com.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and so that was, and if you do like things to do in gender baik, all those keyword searches, it will come up first, and then you can call and then find out about all of the things that you can do, check the website, etc., and book it directly with us, together with the facilitators, the guides, the permits, everything, right? Okay, so those three are the pivots that we decided on, and out of those
so they were edible gardens, Jabat, and what was one more?
Oh, one more, correct. One more is our garden farms.
Garden farms.
Yes, garden farms here is our pleasure gardens in around Radiant Site A. So it's got photo spots and mini farms. It's got mushroom farm, it's got a no-dig farm, a fish farm, a hydroponic farm, and then lots of pretty photo spots, and then picnic spots. And then farm to table gardens, and then it's also supposed to be a place for special events like weddings and proposals, etc. Yeah, so we did a nice video where we had our staff like act out the whole wedding. Some of them are supermodels, so we did realize that. Okay, so out of the three, the Jabat and garden farms are still ongoing, and the edible gardens, although not loss-making, was not successful. So we stopped the edible gardens. And so the first learning that we have looking back is that you can't just do pivots because you can, and you can't just do it because it's needed in the marketplace. You have to ask yourself really seriously whether you can do it better, significantly better than other people.
Yeah.
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 So 180-degree pivots are possibly not a good idea. Okay, so you have to pivot on things where you have some kind of underlying strength. So like gender bike tourism, of course, the underlying strength there is the fact that we've been here and we have all the networks and all of the knowledge. And Garden Farms is building on an orchard that was already there. Of course, totally landscaping and prettying it up, but the orchard was already there, right? So, so we had underlying strength there, but we didn't have underlying strength on edible gardens. The team did great in terms of learning it, and certainly we sold enough not to make a loss, but we couldn't see moving forwards, how this was going to be a business worth doing once the usual business is back. So we closed that. Okay, so that was the one big learning about pivots. Can you do it significantly better than other people and be really
Other
honest
people,
about that?
right? Yeah, because I remember at that time. Sorry, someone was saying something.
No, they are not on mute. Go on mute, guys. Okay.
Okay. So I remember at that time, everyone was talking about pivot. So it was becoming the thing to do, because if you don't pivot, you're gonna die, right? So so fantastic learning. Thank you, Hanis. Yeah. Carry on.
We did do one business as usual adaptation, which is we took our school camps and made those into micro camps. So micro camps are small camps in a bubble with kids who already socialize with one another, and that was really good revenues towards the end of last year.
But I don't understand that. What kids who know each other, but it was still physical, you mean?
Yeah. So physical camps were allowed all the way until I think between July till the end of last year. It was actually allowed.
I see, because we had that break where it was opening up a bit, can. So
and even when Klang Valley kind of went into semi-lockdown in October, we could still do the micro camps in Selangor itself for Selangor kids. So so we took it to them. They couldn't come to us, we took it to them, and this was small, so it was mobile, etc. Great, really real agility by our educators team to move from doing big school camps to like finding out about a place immediately, doing risk assessments, getting all the operations up, and then telling the parents, yep, we can do it here in 48 hours kind of thing. So really good agility by the educator team. But in general, that was the only business adaptation that we did, because the rest of the business as usual, we didn't want to touch it. So we had this belief, or limiting belief, as you might say, Rom, that virtual's just not going to be as fun. It's not going to be worth doing. So because pandemic is going to be over by September 2020, so we weren't going to touch on team building and training. Our belief was that clients will just wait out the pandemic and do it physical, because virtual can certainly not compete. And I remember saying to my team that rather than doing virtual training, I'd rather just give up as a trainer. Because I was so in love with our experiential way of doing corporate training that to do it virtually, I just rather give up. So I'm not even going to consider it. Okay. So then that was our story until kind of the end of 2020. Some mixes of successes and fails, not fails, some successes and not so successful. But then by the time we went into 2021, it became very clear that this thing is a lot more serious than we thought, right? Okay, so finally acceptance in January of 2021 that this thing could be here for the whole of 2021. So 2021 could be a write-off. And if we don't adapt our business as usual to the new norm, we're not going to make it, right? At the same time, clients were also like starting to kick us and say, look, we can't wait on your corporate training anymore. So I remember telling Petronas that, no, we're not going to do virtual training for you. Like, how stupid is that, right? So finally, Petronas came back in January and basically said, look, we can't wait anymore. It's got to be virtual, unfortunately. So starting from kind of that wake-up call, we then did our proper business adaptations for our business as usual, for our core businesses. So then we developed virtual training. So we went for training to become virtual facilitators, certified, Then we adapted physical team building to virtual team building with virtual events and virtual games and virtual quests and virtual hunts
Everything virtual.
and
everything,
virtual escape
everything.
rooms, etc. I've got a
Exactly.
picture there.
Okay.
Wait, yeah. I'll show you a picture of that.
Yeah, that's
This
the
one.
way. And
Yeah.
but what I'm hearing from you is that Petronas was like waiting for you.
Yeah,
You
it's-
know,
yeah,
it's
because
you who have
they're
to
existing.
conduct this facilitation.
Yeah. And implicit is that, if you don't, we'll find somebody else possibly. So yeah. Okay. So and so these are, I mean, just pause for a minute at this slide. These are our facilitators, and we hired them for a lot of them are from sports science, for example. They love the outdoors, so they're very outdoors people. So their ability to be able to not just adapt but really lead the whole transformation to digital has been really amazing, because they've had to learn to speak fully in English for one thing, and then to be able to do performance and characters, to do acting, and then to do all of this, using MS Teams, using Zoom, doing it cross countries, crossing firewalls and all sorts of regulations. It's really been amazing how they were able to adapt with so much agility, So that's awesome. And then we also did virtual camps as well. And in general, with in 2021, our business adaptations were successful. Okay, so for example, with virtual training, it used to be a small part of our business, and now it's a big part of our business. And we've actually been able to win leadership programs, like contracts, like year-long contracts to with MNCs, with multiple MNCs, to train, for example, all their managers, all their VPs, all their SVPs as well. And that wouldn't have happened before the pandemic, because we were having so much fun doing camps and team building. We were so busy that we purposely took a reactive stance to training. But the pandemic made us become a lot more proactive with training. Certainly made me start to write, on LinkedIn, and write articles and write newsletters, etc., together with Taufik, my training team. So that's been a big win for us. The virtual team building is something which we will continue to do moving forwards, because post-pandemic, even though life will return mostly to physical, actually there has always been, and now there increasingly is, scope for virtual, because increasingly teams are working remotely.
And you're going to be able to get international clients,
that's right.
and do it. For that.
To be able to serve international. And a lot of these will be the same clients too. So there are clients that say that, we have one big physical team building, but we would love to have multiple virtual engagements throughout the year. So it will be the same seamless relationship between physical and virtual. So it'll be a new way of doing things, and it's a new portfolio for us, and certainly new skills that now wouldn't go away for the facilitators. In fact, some of them have found their new mastery in the virtual space.
Hanis, can I ask you?
Yeah.
With all these so-called pivot that worked and your business adaptations, would you say you have been able to bring Radiant Consulting into a space where you were able to plug that 4 million gap?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
But it's getting there, right?
Well, I think the name of the game for pandemic time is surviving. Okay, so the fact that we've survived with the whole team intact and in good shape, with a great culture. I think a stronger culture than ever, and certainly much more skills and abilities than before. Is a win for us. Okay. There are companies, of course, that make even more in the pandemic than they did before. Okay, so we are not one of those. We are not making as much during the pandemic time. It's still a huge hit on revenues. However, the whole game was getting to this point today when things are reopening. And not only do we have all the team, they are stronger than ever. We've been able to recruit 4 excellent new additions, which we wouldn't have had if we were closed. It's an employer's market at the moment. So we were able to entice over 4 really good new recruits. And we now have a stronger portfolio of products than ever. So we have all the existing products and all of the virtual products. So the point of the whole thing was to get today to be able
I hear you. And throughout the whole, 35 minutes, you've been talking about one thing nonstop, which is your people, your team, your team, your team, your team. That's what I keep hearing.
Yes.
I would like to ask about you, the leader. What is it that you do to recruit these people? Recruit as in bring them along in your journey to make them see what you see. How do you manage yourself as a leader to also see that, hey, I need to stay positive, to stay this way, to stay a certain manner so that my team can draw energy from me and then we can charge forward together? Any tips or secrets?
Okay, so
I know you're always a very, very positive person.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So share with us some of your how you think and how you react to adversity, to crisis.
Okay. So I guess the number one thing to have as a leader during times of crisis is courage. So if you are not going to be strong for everybody, then step down. So if you are somebody who has everybody's worried, of course, everybody's stressed, everybody will want to talk it out, etc. But if you can't get over it faster than everybody else, then don't be a leader. So that's the first thing, you are in a position of privilege because people depend on you, right? So if you're going to be the one that's, the most emotional, the most stressed, the most can't get over it, the most depressed, what's going to happen to your people? Exactly. You, as a leader, you do not have the luxury for that. So get over it and get ahead, get in front. Yeah, you have to lead in the front. True. Yeah. So I'm not saying, I'm not saying that it wasn't damn scary. It absolutely was, right? But you just don't have the luxury to wallow and then to overshare with your team how fearful you are. Okay, they don't look up to you for that.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but leaders are also not one without emotions.
Yeah.
So where do you go to? Do you have like your own coping method or your own people? Who do you go to? Your family ke Hana ke, that you can bounce all this fear, all this worry, all these uncertainties that's brewing inside you, and because you need to overcome that, right? You can't.
So this was the point of starting the story from before the pandemic, right? So this is down to foundations again.
Yes.
So if you are a leader that has a strong management team with you, a strong leadership team with you, and a team that is a team that you can totally depend on, that are going to rise up. So if you have all of these people that are going to rise up to the challenge, then of course you will take courage from them. Right? Yeah.
So Ikma says they take courage from you, you take courage from them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I were going into the pandemic with a team, and I've told this to the team already, right? So if I was going into the pandemic with a team that was, politicking and squabbling and, with bad culture in general, and a big gap between team and management, I wouldn't bother. Like, why bother? Why would any boss bother with that? Let's just close down. I'll see you guys when I see you guys, right? But no, it was the opposite. It was the thought didn't even cross my mind or Hannah's mind, didn't even cross it, right? So it was always, we are in it together until the very end. Any hits, the management will take the hits first, and then if we can't protect you anymore, we'll let you know, right? So so that's the source of courage, really. So it is back to the people. There is the part where the leader has got to be strong and personally be able to overcome it. But where is their source of strength is also back to the people.
So, you know, a lot of people, when they are in this leadership position, they have this, you know, I got to be in a certain way. I have got to have a certain composure, right? And I have got to remove uncertainty. I've got to tell my team what to do and how to do it. Because people look to me as a leader for those things, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So as the thing is, with a leader moving forwards, you know, this whole environment of uncertainty, of big disruptions and surprises happening, of things changing 180 degrees, is something that we're going to be facing more and more in the future, right? So if we faced it in the form of a pandemic, we're going to be facing it in the form of climate change, right? If not going to, already facing it in the form of climate change, right? Not to mention all of the disruptions that tech and automation and artificial intelligence brings, you know, whether good or bad, right? So in this situation, you cannot, as a leader, think that you have all the answers. You cannot, you should not, right? So what are the answers is, okay, you have to be able to have a team that contributes. Okay, so you will discuss everything with your team. You do expect your team to be well, what do you call it? Well sharpened, right? So they can't be like yes men. You know, you can't have a culture of yes men and people who are not alert and people who are not inventive and they're just followers. So you got to make sure that the soft skills and core competencies of your team is strong. So that's something also that we've been building from the start. We have things called study circles and internal soft skills and core competencies training. So whatever we train to our corporate clients, the team has to sit through as well. So they are trained in the same way, right? But at the same time, we also have study circles that we do. So readings, compulsory readings, sharing. We have a WhatsApp group that's just dedicated to wisdom. You know, everybody is pursuing their personal mastery, which is mapped out over the next 20 years. In 5-year milestones, you know, so everybody is growing and everybody is as sharp and optimized as they can be, right?
Hanis, who would you say is your idol or your mentor in leadership?
Mentor in leadership. So I don't know that there is a single mentor. So I do a lot of reading, obviously. So I do a lot of reading, and obviously I teach and train in leadership, right? So there are parts of people that I like. So my mentor is some kind of Frankenstein that is made up of the best parts of different characters.
No one single person is perfect. I mean, you want to look at Simon Sinek and Elon Musk, they are both from the opposite ends, right?
Exactly. So you have the visionaries.
Who do you have as a?
Well, I mean, you have the visionaries. Like, so these are, you know, like our tech, famous tech giants. You know, your Jeff Bezos and your Elon Musk and all that, right? So you like them for the fact that they are visionary and they are just infectious, right? But then you also have the Angela Merkels of the world, right? So hugely competent and very compassionate, but some would say not adequately visionary. So I think you need to don't model yourself on one person, model yourself on the best of different people and just try and be that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your story after the pandemic. Oh my God, we're running out of time.
Yeah. No, I've already gotten there. So the big learnings, right?
The big learning. Let's do the big learnings.
Already shared. Okay. So the big learnings on business strategy was, right? Don't simply pivot. Check whether you can do it significantly better than other people. So pivot based on foundations of strength, right? So underlying strengths that you already have. Number 2, I would have done the business adaptations earlier, right? So we had these things that we worked on for so long, and we just froze it, right? And that decision was not made rationally. It was made based on emotions. It was like, oh, pandemic come, fine. We're not going to do any of our like existing businesses, virtual sucks and stuff like that, right? So I think a more rational approach to it would have led to a different outcome. So better, clear thinking, and so business adaptation is very important alongside pivots. Pivots are sexy, but business adaptations will get you to success better. Yeah. So they are actually your low-hanging fruit. All right. So pivots are sexy, but they are like way up there, right? So make sure that you cover your low-hanging fruit first and be really clear-headed about it. So, and then the other thing about, so I guess those are the two learnings on the business strategy side of things. On the team side of things, I think to emphasize what I've said, the team culture is something that you have to build from day one. So the fact that we had, such a stable team, such strong leaders in the team, such strong team members, and they already had, they had a growth mindset that we were already building, and they had a great culture and ability to work together. They had already the soft skills and core competencies that we needed them to have, so everything had been built from before. That meant that they were the right team to survive the pandemic. If you're trying to figure all of that out when the hurricane hits, forget it, it's too late, right? So something like team culture and competencies is not something that you can take lightly. Absolutely not. Okay, so that's the big learning about the team. We had a lot of applications from people who were freelancers, for example. So freelancers are people who take the decision to leave team and organization and go out on their own, right? And when times are good, they do really well. They earn a lot of money and they have the flexibility to choose what they like, right? But comes something like a crisis like this, that's when you realize that to go far, you need a team. To go fast, you can go by yourself, but to go far, you need a team, right? So without the team, we could not have done any of the business adaptations, any of the pivots, any innovations. None of that would have been possible. And that's why freelancers come back looking for team, right? So to go far, you need to go with a team. Okay, so that was like the big learning. And then the team has got to be super strong. All of the soft stuff has got to be together. The culture has got to be together from day one, right? Not when the hurricane hits. Okay, so that was the big learning about the team. And I think the big learning about leadership would have been one, obviously courage, both personal, but also, you're ensuring that you have sources of courage, your support system around you all throughout. So a leader absolutely has to be a good connector, a good builder, and this is the time when all of those connections work for you, right? All of the bridges and the goodwill deposits that you make, this is when it works for you, right? In times of crisis. So courage is one. And then number two, the clarity is very important. So being able, you don't have all the clarity, but you have to figure it out. So what we were able to do for the team is to say, okay, this is what the next 6 months look like on a best case basis, on a most likely case basis, and on a worst case basis, right? So if you can take the worst case basis, can you take the worst case basis? If you can, stay, right? So then when the 6 months is coming up, then we go to the next 6 months. What do the next 6 months look like, guys? Okay, best case, most likely, and worst case. Yeah. The pandemic is hitting us worst case most of the time, all right? So let's be honest about that, okay? But because the team already knows that, it doesn't get worse than this, okay? Then they are already okay with that.
Yeah, but it could get worse. I think we also need to prepare ourselves that it could be turning in whichever direction. The agility has got to be there, right?
Yeah, no, but the worst case scenario means that we have enough resources to protect you at this level for this long. So for the next 6 months, please don't worry, you're going to lose your job or you're going to get less than half pay or, something like that. Don't worry about that. Let's take that completely off the table. This is mine and Kak Hana's promise. Look at it now, forget about it. okay? Because we need you to work on creation, on all those fun, exciting stuff, and you can't do it if you're worried about, oh, am I going to lose my job? Is the company going to close? Okay, so that was the number 2 thing, is the clarity. So we had courage, we had clarity, and the last thing, last lesson in leadership really is just about compassion. So compassion just means, you know, like putting yourself in the shoes of your team, and then understanding how they're feeling. You know, some of them are young parents, right? Some of them are looking after families back home, you know, stuff like that. So putting yourself in their shoes and just, you know, extending compassion as much as you can, and certainly much more than any business consultant will tell you to do, right? So so much more compassion than that. So in situations like that, really, I was more thinking like a parent, really, than thinking like a boss or business leader. So I think that's the 3 messages about leadership during times of crisis is courage, clarity, and compassion.
Yeah.
9:50.
9:50 on the dot.
On the dot.
Yes. You know, yeah. Can you tell? Can you see how amazed I am with Hanis, because she wraps everything up. She is so structured, and she inspires all in one go and keeping to the brief. People, I'm just going to give everyone another 5 minutes. If you have any question, shoot, you have Hanis on right now. Ask her questions. I'm learning so much. I'm like, whoa, I'm fired up. I don't know about you guys. Julia, thank you so much for contributing to the chat. Sintu says, I love your explanation on freelancers versus teams. Right. Anyone? We have got 31 people. Wow. That's not bad. Oh, let me see, who do I have here? I have Nadia. Thank you for coming back, Nadia. She was our speaker last week. She also pivoted her business during pandemic.
This is the Boom Cha thing, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
You've been following us as well.
Radiant team, do you guys have anything you want to add that I forgot? You know, anything from your perspective that I missed? So go ahead. I'm going to like pick on the person that's got the camera on and is looking so cheerful this morning. Atika, give us something about about schools. She's the lead of our educator team, and schools like closed completely, right? So she's had to change everything. Atika, anything you want to share?
Hi everyone, I'm Atika.
Hi, Tika.
This is so surprising that I can talk. But yeah, about pandemic, for schools, of course, it's challenging. But one of the greatest experience that I learned when you go virtual. So it's tough even with the school teachers. So of course it's tougher when it comes to us because we are not the teachers. But to have an experience to design the camps online, to engage again with the kids online. Part of me was very happy to go through this pandemic together with our campus. So some of the campus that came in for the virtual camp is actually our campus that came for the physical camp. So to get to connect with them, and even in this virtual situation, it is a blessing to me too. So how do I get there is because how Radiant Culture actually built us. So because we love each other, we love our campus, so that actually brings us more to innovate new things. We want to connect again with our clients. So that is what this pandemic teaches us. So to have the basic of loving your work, loving your client, loving what you do is very important for you to survive and to innovate more and to be ready to open, to be agile, to try new things. So without all those culture, without all those traits in our team, I don't think we really want to do it. So yeah, that's the best about the team that I learned about the pandemic too. So it's amazing. I never know about the pivots word before the pandemic happened. So now when pandemic happened, oh, there is the words of pivots because we are all outdoors. We are not with the
I know, right?
corporate background. So yeah.
COVID taught us new vocab as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Yes, we have got Nadia says very inspiring about the leadership. And Maragatam, I'm missing your training sessions. You have some loyal followers here, Hanis. You're a celebrity.
Ah, okay. Okay. Rome, do you want to ask about anything else, and I can put somebody else on the spot? My hobby.
Yes.
Hey, hi, Hanis. Hey, I'm Esther Young. I'm from
Hi,
Real
Esther.
Kids. I don't know whether you remember
much.
us.
Hi,
You've gone
Esther.
through your training.
Gosh.
Has anything
I
to
thought,
say?
actually,
What
hi. Sorry, can I just ask one very simple question? But I'm not sure whether you have addressed it earlier because I only managed to catch your session a little bit later than it, after it has started. But Hanis, I actually very impressed with the term about like how you appreciate the team that actually that will help a good team that can help us to sail through a lot of challenges. But my question is that especially like during this kind of uncertainty, right? You can have a team, but how do we motivate a team that when we come together, there's so many uncertainties, we do not know what to decide, what to plan, and how to go about a certain plan because of this new norm that we are going through. So is there any advice that you can give to us? Is like when you have a team that can work together, but you have so many uncertainty as a leader, how can we actually kind of like how to put them at a kind of a peace, that kind of thing, and just sail through with whatever decision that we just need to make impromptu, the kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so motivation is made up of two parts, right? So it's made up of desperation and inspiration. So if somebody is in the mode of desperation or fear, then they cannot be inspired. So there's a Chinese saying, right? You cannot fall in love with when you have a toothache.
Yeah.
Right. So for the leader, first of all, you have to make sure that you take out the fear. And of course, in a pandemic, you are also vulnerable. You cannot take out every fear, but at least take out the biggest fear. Okay. So that may mean that you might have to negotiate promises from further up, right? From higher up. So you might have to advocate for that clarity from higher up as well. So whatever you can, you have to lay the worst case scenario out for your team and tell them it doesn't get worse than that. If you can survive, if you'll be okay with the worst case scenario, then look at it and forget about it. Okay, so that's taking out the desperation part of it. Okay, having done that, now if you cannot do that, so and if people are worried that they will lose their jobs, or I think that's probably the worst case, the worst thinking in the pandemic right now. But also, if they are worried that they're not going to be safe from COVID, for example, these are also sources of fear. If you cannot do that, then you cannot go to the next stage. So focus on that one first. Having done that though, then you can move on to the inspiration stage. Okay, so the inspiration stage really means trying to anchor further into the future. Okay, so there are things that we need to do now, right? But strategic things, fun things, things that are sustained, things that grow you, things that change you, they anchor a little bit further into the future. Okay, so you need to be able to let them think about things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead. Okay, so make sure that they are facing forward and they are facing adequately ahead in their thinking, not just focusing on the whirlwind and the hurricane that is today, that will continue next week, etc. Yes, we have to do all of those things, but we don't have to spend every brain cell within the whirlwind, right? So make sure that they are looking forward to amazing things that are going to happen in the future. Okay, and be very clear about it. Like the next thing that we are looking forward to as a team is our trip to Langkawi in January, right? So that's one fun thing. And then next year, we're looking forward to building our Radiant Site C, and that will be a heaven for everybody excited about conservation in the team. It's built around 4 or 5 of their personal masteries in geology, in conservation and biology, in marine. Yeah, and the place is being built by by them, for them. See, so
Wow.
these are ways that you anchor further into the future, right? So we got things to do today, but they don't have to define who we are and all that we think about, right? So that's
Great,
inspiration.
Looking forward. So looking forward. One last question.
I've got a quick question.
Do you have?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Leonard.
Can you hear me?
Leonard is from Ideascape. Is my
Hi, Hanis. I'm
Hi,
from
Leonard.
Ideascape. I'm Leonard. Yeah,
Hi.
yeah. Thanks for your sharing. I think it's wonderful sharing. Lots of great learnings. I was taking notes. I was busy taking notes as well, from business strategy to team culture to your leadership, right? I suppose the question, other than that, I think you could have mentioned it in bits and pieces, but were there any big, in this journey, right, leading up to this point, was there any other big pitfalls to avoid, or you walked away and after reflecting you said, oh, those are no-go zones? So were there anything that, let's say another company were to embark on that same journey of understanding their foundation and trying to pivot based on their
the
strength?
edible garden law?
Edible garden. Yeah.
So in general, what
Yeah. In general,
what should we
were there
have
any no-go
avoided?
zones, or hey, no, you shouldn't do this,
Pointers. What should you avoid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think simply put, it will be the reverse of all of the lessons, of course. So that would be one. But I think maybe one I think maybe a fitting overall lesson, I think, is just around the soft stuff. So the fact that when crisis happens, all the soft stuff is comes to the fore and is just so important, right? So so things to avoid then would be things to be careful about, are also the things that eat away at the soft stuff, like the culture. Okay, so you have to be very alert as leaders to check how things like team culture is doing, how mental health is doing, how whether there are any gaps that are happening in terms of leadership and communication because of pandemic. So those are, I guess, it's not so much answering where not to go. That's more about like what are some of the pitfalls to avoid. You're so reliant on all the soft stuff that you need to be very careful that they are all staying in place and as optimized as you need to be, right? So you have to kind of pull people closer together. The pandemic does pull things apart. That's what it does, right? Crisis pulls things apart, pulls people apart. It kind of the pit and the chasms and the dark places beckon for everybody, right? So you have to be making sure that everyone is staying on the high ground.
Wonderful.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, it's 10:02. We got to stop unless anyone is burning to speak up and ask any questions. I'm going to one last round. No one? Anyone? Great.
Okay, let's
Alright.
give everybody,
Thank
let's
you.
give a thumbs up for Rome.
And everyone, hugs to Hanis. Virtual hug to Radiant Consulting, Radiant Retreat, Radiant Group. Thank you so much for coming on stage with us, coming on virtual. We so look forward to meeting each and every one of you face to face. We hope we can plan something and come and visit you in Gender-Bite very soon. Yeah.
Awesome.
All
Hope so.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
good day. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Take care, everyone.
Hannah.